So it's finally happening. The fear of a recession just got worse, and most people are not even thinking about it. Now, for the past few months, I've talked about a lot, honestly, about how our economy is changing. I've talked about how Americans are spending less money now because they're getting squeezed by higher prices and inflation. I said the stock market falling would cause a disaster, and not because people are just losing their money, but it is taking away that cushion that millions of people once had. And I mentioned that the month of April and May would be telling as to where we are going as an economy. Well, over the past week, we've been getting more and more reports and updates as to how our economy is actually doing. Which direction it's moving. We've seen multiple Federal Reserve presidents come out and say that we're not in a recession. Don't worry. They're going to tackle inflation and ensure that they do not push the United States into a recession. But honestly, nobody believes them. And almost all indications point to the fact that we are already in the middle of a recession. That's an issue. It's already here. It's happening right in front of our eyes. But what we are being told is, no, don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. The Fed's going to bring us in for a soft landing. We're going to bring inflation down. Employment's not going to be, go the opposite direction, right? We're not going to see, massive amounts of layoffs, right? We're not going to see an economic slowdown. None of this stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen because it's happening right now. Now, here's what happened most recently. A couple of weeks ago, we got reports that freight companies are not seeing as much business. And I really want to touch on this for one main reason. This was going on same time or kind of before diesel prices really started to surge. Was freight companies were not seeing as much business. Trucks are not filled or full like they used to be. They're not being filled up, right? So some of these companies are shipping half-empty containers across the country. And yet they're still paying the same. The fuel cost is still the same. They just don't have people that are paying for that space on the truck. And then on top of that, truckers are quitting the industry, which is honestly fine right now that people are quitting because guess what? There's not as much inventory to be moved across the country. Some say they're not making as much money as if they were just to get a regular 9-to-5 job. Something as simple as working in a retail store. Something as fast food. They would make more money making $14 to $15 per hour than they would if they're doing a long haul delivery. That's crazy, but it's because of where gas prices are. But the real issue is that stores are saying that they are full of new products, nothing to worry about. They see that they're going to be running massive sales, everything's good. But the problem is that shipping companies are not seeing new contracts. They're not filling their trucks with future inventory. All right, all of this is going to lead to a slowing in our economy, according to multiple economists. But that's just part of the issue. Now, I personally like to read these updates so that I know what's going on. But I also got first-hand updates from multiple community members. Here's what they had to say. I want to read these because I think these are, when you reach out to people that are actually in the industry, it makes more sense as opposed to just reading an article or some type of update and report that was done a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's still very relevant. It's still fairly fresh, but at the same time, when you get the actual updates from people that are working, doing the shipments, that's what's really telling. Now, one person said, I've been in the trucking industry for 15 plus years, and this looks oddly similar to 2008. 2008 was not a great time. But what we saw in 2008 were people stopped spending money. We were in a financial crisis. Housing crashed, right? That's what we saw. Hopefully we're not back there. But according to multiple experts, they say we could see a similar crash, but it will not be housing. Housing is not what's going to crash. It won't be the financial industry either. It's going to be something else. It's going to be something else. I'm not here to speculate, so I don't know what it's going to be, but that's what they are saying. We also heard from one other person. They said, and I quote, "I had to quit my job because I was only getting a few shipments per month. The delays and price hikes were too much to handle." And let's address that. Delays. Why are we seeing delays? Here's the reason. If the shipment is not full, you don't got a full truckload, why are you going to drive across the country? If you haven't secured, okay, I'm gonna drive from California to, let's say, Utah, and I'm gonna pick up another load there, and I'm gonna drop this one off in the next state or whatever, right? If you don't have that all planned out, and you're just taking one shipment, which of maybe a half full truckload from one side of the country all the way to the other, is it really worth it? In most cases, no. In most cases, you're really working for free, especially if you're an owner operator. So this is why things are being delayed, is you gotta wait. You gotta wait to figure out, okay, well, where am I gonna get my next shipment? Can I put two things into one trailer, right? And then on top of that, you got diesel prices they're just too expensive. And President Biden and the Biden administration coming out today and saying that they're considering doing a release from our diesel reserves. Well, we only have a diesel reserve about 1 million. We use about 122 million barrels of diesel per day. It's not going to be a huge difference. And then one other person said, and I quote, "It's crazy to think that right now there are more trucks sitting idle as nobody wants to drive them and there is not enough freight to be moved." Exactly what I was saying. This is exactly what I was saying. People don't want to drive a truck that's half full, only get a small amount of money. They would just stay in their hometown and work a regular job, not be a trucker. Again, that's going to cause a lot of issues. But let's talk about the big worry. The big worry is that most people are not seeing what's going on. Honestly, sitting in my office, I don't see what's going on, but that's why I got to go and talk to people. I got to go figure it out myself. I got to ask the questions. I got to do my due diligence. Well, most people are just placed an order on Amazon. The item gets to them and they think, you know what, everything's just perfectly fine. It's not necessarily the case. It's just not the way it is. Now, as diesel prices continue to climb, truckers will get out of the industry even faster. We've seen this. We know what's happening. And as this happens, shipments will get delayed. Customers are going to complain that their orders aren't showing up. And when this happens, which it does happen, in turn, they're going to stop buying from that certain company because, well, they're always behind. And eventually, the economy is going to take its second consecutive quarter of negative GDP, which means we're officially going to be in a recession. Again, it's happening. And most people are only seeing the good in what's happening right now because guess what? Mainstream media tells us things are looking up, right? COVID cases, they're coming down. No, they're going up. They're actually going up, right? Our economy is looking strong. Yes, it is, but it's actually weakening. We're seeing unemployment go down. Yes, we are. But at the same time, some people are just leaving the workforce because they can't find anything. They've been looking for multiple weeks and can't find anything. They go on multiple job interviews and nobody calls them back. Well, you can only do that for so long and then you get tired of it. So as always, here's what I can recommend. Be prepared. Honestly, be prepared for a recession. This isn't something that we should be taking lightly because we could seriously be, this could alter the course of our economy and our lives over the next 1 to 2 years. Right now for 2022, my expectation is, again, this is just my prediction. People are going to be very frugal. They're not going to want to spend once we are officially in a recession. They're going to start saving money. But again, how do you save money if we still see high inflation? Food prices are still sky high. Rent is still going up in many cases, right? Buying anything is more expensive. How do we do that, right? So that's the real worry. And this is why I want to tell you that this is happening. We are seeing this major shift. The fear of recession has gotten worse. And most people are not really looking at it that way. They're thinking, I got money, right? COVID cases are declining. We're about into the good months of summer. I'm going to take a vacation, maybe expensive, but I'm going to take a vacation and everything's going to be perfectly fine. Honestly, when you know what hits the fan, this could potentially be a disaster. So do what you can, prepare now.